Welcome back to the Litigators Lounge, devoted to the intricacies of commercial litigation with Offit Kurman's Commercial Litigators. I'm Sleight, and joining me today is my partner, Niall McMillan. Niall, welcome back to the lounge. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, good. I wanted to open up the conversation on legal collections. Clients often come to us with a concern about a past due account receivable or other issues with customers or clients. Do you have any tips on how clients can best pursue legal collections?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. I think collections in general, even if you're not pursuing necessarily a contract debt, but if you have a judgment that you got awarded in a case, if you're pursuing that, it's something you need to think about throughout a case because the judgment is really just a piece of paper. And the value on that is as much as a piece of paper is. So if the person doesn't have the money to get it, or if it's going to be too expensive for you to go get it, it may not be worth the case. You have to think about that throughout. And ways to prepare for collecting on that judgment throughout the case, thinking about what assets do they have, putting that work in the first place. Our judgment collection discovery, ways to get the debtor to be able to tell you where their assets are, that can take a while. So if you know what their bank account is, that's the easiest way. If it's an individual, you can, if they're employed, put wage collection on them. However, that can be a bit tricky. There's some rules and regulations that you can get in trouble with there. So the easiest way to do is what property they have, and bank accounts being the easiest. If they're married and own property, you probably won't be able to get the property collected on. The ways to think about it is just what's the easiest way to go forward with it. Now, if we're talking about collecting on judgment on contracts, you want to have as much documentation as possible, and you want to have a strong contract. So having a lawyer look at those contracts before they get to the point of judgment, drafting as well, that's important. But also once you get there, you want to have a firm handle on your evidence. What documents were executed, what contracts you have, what payments were made, evidence substantiating that. So you can just go to the court and say, here, services performed, payment not made, and I'd like a judgment for that.
What if you're entering into a lease with a commercial tenant or extending a loan to a commercial entity? Are there any options that you can do to provide better means of security for enforcing that obligation?
Yeah. A lot of times people will put what's called a personal guarantee on a lease. And so that's where you can have, let's say the LLC, let's say a deli shop, they're opening up a deli shop. They're going to create an LLC for that. But normally the assets within the LLC aren't much other than the property they have, maybe some sandwiches. But it's actually the owner of the LLC. That's the person who probably has the most funds that you can go after. And so you'll want them to personally guarantee the contract, which means that for a debt of the LLC, you can go after the owner of that company personally.
Should that guarantee also include spouses or other individuals as appropriate?
Yes, that's definitely something that I would recommend, especially if you're doing the work beforehand. Like I said, looking into what contract am I actually making here. You can have some thought to, are they married or are they not? Because if their bank accounts, their property are entitled with their spouse, a lot of times that's going to be something that's protected from judgment. And so what you'll want to do is if they both sign it, then you would be able to increase that pot of money that you're able to collect on.
I think these are great tips, right? It's not always easy, even if you win in judgment, to collect the money. So I think these are great tips to keep in mind for anybody who's dealing with an account receivable or other collection matter. Thank you, Niall.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, Offit Kurman is a full-service law firm with offices and litigators from coast to coast, providing litigation services for collections matters, employment, financial services, construction, government contracting, and business disputes. Please reach out to Niall or me if you have a litigation matter or a collection matter that requires attention. Thank you.
Thank you.